Oops. Hey guys, it's Nyan. I normally don't sound like this. I lost my voice like 2 weeks ago when I went to Missouri to see my friends, and I haven't gotten my voice back all the way. Oh my god, I sound like I'm like going through puberty right now. I'm sorry. I've had so much anxiety built up creating this video. I've been kind of putting this video off because I'm gonna get like too emotional, and that's like not what I want to do. It's been 8 months and 16 days today since Carson did not wake up from his nap. April 13th was the day that I lost him. My eyes are already watering, can't, hold on. I want this video to be more about the timeline of events that happened that day. I just want to kind of like tell you a little bit about me. I am 30 years old. I turned 30 this year, the big 3-0. I'm an Army wife. We are actually stationed at Fort Moore, Georgia, but we live in Alabama. My husband's been in the Army for 15 years. Together we have Emery, who's 3, Kennedy, who is about to be 2 in February, and Carson this year, January 25th. 2023. He passed away April 13th, 2023. He was just 11 weeks old. So anyways, going back to the day that everything happened. My husband was at work. I woke up with the kids that morning. I played with them for a little bit, and then I put Carson in the swing while I went and cooked breakfast for them. So once breakfast was done, I put Emmy and Kenny in their seats. I put Carson in the bassinet and rolled him like closer to the dining room table. Like in front of me I had Emmy, Kenny in the high chair, because Emmy like sits in like a booster seat. Next to me was Carson in his bassinet. We're all eating. The girls just like kept staring at Carson. The girls just like were so in love with Carson. Every chance they get, they would just like go up and like give him a kiss. It was just like the cutest thing ever. So after we ate, I like fed Carson. Carson took a little nap right after that. Like he took a nap in his bassinet. His like naps were like really short, especially if I wasn't holding him. It was enough for me to like get everything cleaned up and play with the girls for a little bit. And so then after that, we were all up. Like this was like around like 3:30, I think. And that was time for Carson's second nap. Cause like we woke up in the morning, ate, Carson took a nap. It was like a short nap because it was just like long enough for me to like clean up the dishes and stuff. Woke up, had him like playing with the girls. Like we were just like all like in Emmy's room. My husband came home, and then he had set Carson down for another nap because this was like in the afternoon. It was like closer to 4. Vince and I took the girls into the garage to work out. We worked out, and then I left to go get some dinner from Chipotle. And I like literally couldn't go back to Chipotle for a little while, like after everything happened. Sorry, I like don't know the last time I actually like talked about this story. So I was at Chipotle and got a call from Vince's mom, and she was like, Nyan, you need to hurry up and get home. Your son's not breathing. I had ordered already and like was just like waiting in line to like pay, and I was like, I have to go. I literally just like left everything there, left. So I live like 30 minutes from like everything. I live kind of like in the middle of nowhere. I was like 30 minutes from home already. Got in the car. The first person I called was my stepdad, and I was just like ballistic. I was like, please, please, please pray that like Carson's okay. Like I'm freaking out. And I just like needed someone to like calm me down because I was like obviously freaking out. I got home and sorry, I'm like having a lot of anxiety right now. Let me back up a little bit. Texted Vince immediately and was like, what's going on? Call me. Because I gave him a call and he didn't answer, like, for obvious reasons. The last text that I had read was that he was feeding Kenny. I got home. All I had seen was the ambulance in front of our house. And I, like, just, like, I don't even think I parked in the right spot. I just, like, parked and ran through my yard to the front door. And Vince, like, came out and just, like, hugged me and said, like, I'm sorry. And he just kept saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Right when I got there, like, they had already put Carson in the ambulance. Like, soon as I, like, got in the yard, they had taken him. Or, like, right before I got in the yard, they did. And so then the ambulance left. I don't know if it was just, like, everything that was, like, happening at once. Like, just, like, feeling, obviously, like, I'm just, like, feeling really, really sick and nauseous. So I, like, just, like, went straight in the backyard and just, like, freaking threw up. I, like, felt like this was just, like, a complete nightmare. Like, there's no way that this is, like, happening. He was just okay. Like, we had such a great morning with the girls. Girls were, like, all over him, just so happy, giving him kisses. So the next thing I remember, Vince's mom stayed home with the girls so that me and Vince can go to the hospital. So the hospital that they took you to was, like, almost 30 minutes. It was, like, 25 minutes-ish. The entire drive, like, complete silence. We got to the hospital, like, went straight into the ER, told them who we were, why we were there, and they took us to, like, a private waiting room, and I was like, no, like, I need to see my baby, like, what is going on, like, I need to see my son. They said that I couldn't see him because, like, they didn't want me to see, like, what he looked like doing CPR on him. I just kept saying, let me go see him. At that point, I just feel like I, like, just knew this wasn't good. This wasn't good. And, like, I was just like, there's no way. There's just no way this is happening. The nurse finally let me in, and I will never get this image out of my head. Carson was, like, on those, like heater beds that, like, when, like, you have a newborn baby, like, that's what it looked like. I don't know if it's the same thing, but he was, like, on one of those. They were doing compressions to get a heartbeat. His eyes were, like, rolled in the back of his head, and he was blue and gray. And, like, the first thing I could do was just fall on my knees and just hold his hand and just ask God for a miracle. Why, God? Why me? Why us? Like, why did this have to happen? And then obviously I guess it was just, like, too hysterical. It's just, like, such a traumatic thing for, like, any parent to, like, witness and see, like, you know? So she, like, helped me get back up and, like, escorted me to and escorted me back into the waiting room that we were originally at. Vince had just like stayed in the waiting room. Honestly, we haven't really talked about that day to this day. He was the one to find him unresponsive, and he had to do CPR on Carson. And like months later, he had told me about the day that he had to perform CPR on Carson. He said that he found him, there was foam, immediately called 911 and was doing CPR on him. They were walking him through it. Emmy was right next to them, unfortunately, but also fortunately, I'm glad that she like didn't really understand what was going on. Vince had told me that she was like right next to him while he was performing CPR, just petting Carson's head, saying, "It's okay, baby brother, it's okay." What kind of 3-year-old has to go through that? Going back to when we were at the hospital, I got escorted back into the waiting room, and Vince and I were just non-stop praying, just praying to God, like, please don't take our son away. Please don't do this to us, please. There is just no way I could survive this. There's just no way I could do this life without him. Just take me, you know, like, don't take my baby. It's just not fair. And then the ER doctor came in, and you could just tell he didn't even have to say anything. Like, no, like, you can't. He said, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, but Carson didn't make it." He didn't make it. And he says something about how, like, things like this happen, and I'm like, no, it doesn't. This is like stuff that happens in like Lifetime movies, you know. So he left, and the nurse came back in and said if we wanted to like go in there and spend some time with him. And that's when we took those photos holding our sweet baby in our arms. He was so cold, and all I wanted to do was make it warm. I can't believe I'm making this video right now. I didn't want to let go. He was almost 3 months old. He was a big baby. He was really big. I just kept like holding him, being like, wake up, Carson. This isn't happening. Like, we need to be going home together. I could have literally sat there and held him forever. That was truly the worst day of my life. There is absolutely nothing that compares to the pain of not only losing your child, but holding them lifeless and just wanting to do anything, just anything for them to look at you and smile at you. Just anything. Let me be that position, not him. He had so much life to live. It was time for us to say our goodbyes. Honestly, like, I feel like kind of like everything else, like, after that was a blur. I don't even know how to explain what I was going through. Left the hospital and I was just so sick. So sick. I think I was just in like complete disbelief that this was happening. Wake up, Nyan. Wake up. This is a nightmare. Like, this stuff doesn't happen. Wake up. But I wasn't waking up. I don't even remember the drive home. But we got home, and I think it was super late. Midnight or something, because the girls were already asleep. Dogs started barking, and I was like, oh, that's weird. I looked outside the door, and it was the coroner and 2 investigators. Honestly, I can't really, like, remember what came first. All I know is that night, like, when we got home, the coroner and the 2 investigators were at our house getting both of our statements. Like, I was in Emmy's room, Vince was in the dining room, and they like got each of our statements. The coroner sat us down and like just got all of Carson's information, all of our information, because I guess his body was getting sent off to the autopsy place. He told us it would, like, you know, take a little while. From what I remember, it was like 90 days, but it ended up being like 6 months. So I was like, this is weird, because on Google it was like sudden infant death syndrome, like SIDS, or they just die like in their sleep. But since it took so long, I was like, this is weird. It might be something else, because he was sick. I'll talk about that in a different video, because I feel like this video is going to be like kind of long. So yeah, 7 days after he got his drain removal, that's when he didn't wake up from his nap. So I'm like, okay, like maybe there was some sort of link with him being sick. Like, I don't know. 6 months later, we got Carson's autopsy report back, and kind of find out that his reason for death was pneumonia. This year has been the worst year of my life. In January, we were getting ready for the birth of our first son. Mind you, Vince has 3 girls, and this was his very first son. January 25th, such a beautiful baby boy was born. April 13th, he leaves this world. And we had to start figuring out what we wanted to do with his body. Like, the week after the 13th of April, the coroner was just like, you know, telling us to kind of figure out like what we wanted to do, or like basically make a plan. And we decided to cremate him, because we are a military family and we just like don't know if we're gonna like move or not, and we just like want him to like move with us. And we had a memorial service for him, since we didn't like have a funeral. It was an open casket, and Vince and I like were able to go see him before everyone else showed up. Carson did not look like that. I don't know if you've ever seen someone that's been embalmed, but they do not look like themselves, like, at all. It was like really weird for me to connect Carson's like body without his soul in it with who my son was, you know? Like, it's like really hard to explain, but my camera turned off because the temperature was too high. It's just been like a really, really rough time. And I keep having to remind myself that it hasn't even been a year yet, and I just really need to get through all of the hard holidays. Like, obviously Christmas is my favorite holiday, and just like going through Christmas without my baby was extremely hard, and I'm like still trying to get myself out of this hole because I am like not okay. Like, I wish I was okay, but I know that everything will be okay. I just feel bad for the girls because, like, I've never lost, like, a sibling because I am, like, the only child. I have a stepbrother, but we didn't really, like, grow up together. Okay, like, today, I took Emmy to the store, and I asked her to hold my hand so that she didn't get, you know, like, hurt, and she's like, "Mommy, I'm holding your hand. Is it so that I don't get hit by a car and then I die and I go to heaven with baby brother and you're gonna cry for me?" And like, that just like broke my heart, but it was just like the sweetest thing for a 3-year-old to say. This entire time, I think I've just had a hard time wanting to talk about it, because talking about it brings a lot of painful feelings and memories and emotions that really drains you. So, anyways, thank you for watching. I'm sorry that this was such a long video, and it was a very depressing one at that. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe and follow along my journey. Thanks. Bye.